Beautiful. So the theme for today, we're carrying on our 4th of July celebration because, it's still only the 7th and we like to party, right? And I needed to wear my red dress. So, Valentine's Day, sometimes Christmas, and 4th of July, my red dress comes out. But today I want to really talk about the difference between independence and interdependence. And I want to challenge you a little bit today. I want to challenge you a little bit today. Because what I know to be true is we think what we think, we do what we do, and we believe what we believe, but we often don't ask ourselves why. Why do you do what you do? Why do you believe what you believe? Just because you believe it does not make it true. Okay, it's a collective. Wait, what? Wait, what? Together. Wait, what? Wait, what? Just because you believe it doesn't make it true, but here's the deal, just because I believe it doesn't make it true either. So independence and interdependence. We are individualized expressions of a divine, that is, we call it God, universe, source. We are individualized expressions. And that makes us independent. But in our independency, we come into a way of being that is separate from. So as we celebrate our Independence Day, we think about freedom and what we are free. But freedom even has a couple of things. We are free. Are you free? Are you looking for freedom from? Or are you looking for freedom to? For example, you want freedom from oppression, freedom from lack, freedom from limitation, freedom from the other. Or do you want freedom to simply be? Freedom to choose to live a life that's a greater life. Now, I had a slide, and it was a freedom slide. It was a beautiful image of our flag. I posted it a few days ago. And it's a quote from Peter Marshall. May we think of freedom not as the right to do as we please, but as the opportunity to do what is right. Freedom in the highest expression of freedom is not simply the right to do whatever the heck we want to do without regard to other people, but it is the opportunity to do what is right. What is right to your body, mind, heart, soul, spirit? What is right for the greater good? When we are independent, it leads us to a sense of separation. Well, on our planet, we live lives of separation. We believe, why do we believe what we believe? We believe that we are separate from. We believe that we're separate from anybody. Anybody here ever feel like they were separate from even their own family? That they didn't fit in their own family? Right? We have this we don't belong thing that butts up against either I'm special or I'm not special, which still keeps you special. But that's all coming from our place of independence. We think we are alone. But we're not alone. We are one with one of my favorite simple, easy, but yet can be, take it as deep as you can take it, is we are one body. Like I have one body. Like my pinky finger and my big toe are completely independent of each other, but they're part of one. Right? And I need my pinky finger more than I think I do. And I really like my big toe, and I know that because I stubbed it hard the other day. And I thought, well, I could just cut it off. I'm like, no. But my big toe let me know it was there. Oh my goodness. My husband hit his index finger with a sledgehammer this week. And he's very aware of his index finger right now. It makes me cringe to think about it. He's like, will you help me? I'm like, no. I'm not drilling into your fingernail to let that blood out. I can't do it. I'm not doing it. I can't do it. We had this whole conversation about it all week long. There were people right here in this room who said, I would do that for him. I'm like, I wouldn't. I love you dearly. I'm 100% dedicated, committed to you, but I am not drilling through your fingernail. You know, there are limits to my interdependency, right? My husband likes to say that we are healthy, that we have a healthy codependent relationship. Is that an oxymoron?
Yes.
I think it is. But maybe what we have is an interdependency. Maybe what we need to learn is that we are one. We are the Center for Spiritual Oneness, which means that we have the opportunity, everybody who comes in through this door, to come to know oneness. Now, if we were to grade ourselves, I don't really think we'd be doing all that great quite yet. But we're moving in that direction, right? We have that intention in the title, in the name of who we are. One with what? Because when you go one with, you're already in separation, right? It's not one with, it's one as. And yet, we're individualized beings, operating, living from a place of separation. When we begin to realize, through awakening, that we are not alone, that we could actually never even be alone, then everything begins to shift and change. I'm teaching for the Unity Seminary and their continuing education program. I'm teaching a class right now called Healing and Wholeness. I'm actually starting it tomorrow. But I'm teaching that class right now, and it's a class that I haven't taught in a long time, so I'm back in the materials, and it's really fabulous stuff, and a lot of it was written in the early 1900s and late 1800s, and so you kind of like, you read that and you go, oh, what does that even mean? And one of the assignments for my students is to watch this video of Stephen Levine. Remember him? He did a lot of work on death and dying, and he was sharing this story. I see a couple of nods. He looks like in this video, he looks like an old hippie. It's so great. I think it was filmed in like the 70s or something. And in that film, he talks about this story. And I want to share this story because it touched me deeply. And the story was of a woman whose mother was dying. And the mother who was dying was in an active dying process and had been for a number of weeks. It had been going on. And the woman who was dying was, we'll say cranky. She was not a happy person. She was mad, she was mean, she was angry, she was not pleasant to be with. But the daughter was committed to healing. And the daughter was committed to being with her mother. And so she sat in that hospital room by her side, day in and day out, and day in and day out. And her practice, the story is about her, not the mother. Her practice was to simply love, was to simply to be present, was to simply be there. The mother at that stage in the game was more unconscious than not, kind of really in between the worlds. And the woman just simply sat there and opened her heart. And in that practice, she had to do her, her forgiveness, and she had to do her letting go, and she had to stop the stories, because we all have the stories about why and this and that, and the beliefs and all that stuff. But she was 100% committed to the practice of her own healing. And she sat there and she opened her heart. And she came into a place that was utter bliss, sitting in that hospital room for all those weeks. She came into a place that was complete and total peace. She came into a place that was freedom, right? That's what we're really talking about, is freedom. She landed in a way that changed her at depths, in the practice and the beingness that is love. Now, when the mother was on her last moments, right, unconscious for days now, opened her eyes, as sometimes happen, and she looked straight at her. I'm not looking at anybody. She looked straight at her. She said, I hate you. Horrible, mean, nasty, ugly. But the woman we're talking about, she just smiled. Said, I am love. I release you. But I love you. And that was where the real healing was. Now, did the woman who died, have a revelation at the moment of death? I don't know, maybe not. But the healing was coming into that love, coming into that complete and total experience of oneness with all that is. And her oneness with all that is included her mom, but wasn't about her mom. Can you get that? It included her mom, but it wasn't about her mom. It was much bigger than that. And that's what we're striving for, and that's what we come into when we experience love. That's what we come into when we experience our oneness with all that is. And it is a dimensional shift. It is what our planet is about. We are moving from a separated human experience into an experience of oneness. But there's a chasm. And in that chasm is a quantum leap. And in that quantum leap, when we land there, many of you in this room touch that place, right? You've had that experience in your meditation or in an experience or in your life where you touch that place of oneness. Maybe in a baby's lap or the birth of a baby or a sunset or a meditation or in a sound bath or anyway, right? You touch it. But what we're being called to do is not only touch it, but to refine it, to land it in our being so fully that our planet changes. And when we do that, war will cease, limitation will cease, hunger will cease, dis-ease will cease. Because we cannot have judgment or anger or resentment in that place of oneness. And so I call to you, this is my challenge, part of my challenge, is notice what you notice. If you are in judgment, know that you're not in oneness. But don't be in judgment about you being in judgment. Right? Let it go. Just notice it. And go, how could I be more love right now? How could I be more free right now? How could I be more in touch right now? How could I open my heart right now? Because it's hardwired into our system to know what we know and be who we be. But we're being called to know what we don't know and be what we're becoming. It's a very different place. There's a story of a little boy and his dad who were walking through the woods. And the little boy, probably about 10, they came across a big log across the path. And they were in good relationship and enjoying their day and having a fabulous time. And the little boy said, "Hey, Dad, do you think I could move that log?" And the dad says, "I'm sure you could if you gave it your whole strength, if you used all of your strength." And so he went down and he got down and he tried to push and push and push and he tried to pull and pull and pull and he tried to kick and he wasn't moving. He said, "Dad, I thought you said I could move this log." And he said, "I'm sure you can if you give it all your strength. If you use all your strength." And the boy goes, "Okay, I'm going to try again." And he tried again and he pushed and he pulled and he prodded and he just was giving it all he had. He said, "Dad, I can't do it." And the dad said, "Son, you haven't given it all your strength. Part of your strength comes in asking for help. Ask me, I will help you." And together they move that log. That is interdependence. Where two of us, two or more of us gathered, create that which is so much greater than the sum of the parts. Where together we lift each other up. We are not designed to be alone. We are not designed to handle our lives alone. We're not designed to walk through grief or illness or trauma by ourselves. We are designed to be interdependent. Not codependent, although most of us have that mastered, right? Interdependent, where there is an interdependency, because just as my big toe and my pinky finger are interdependent, so is my organs. So are my organs. My heart works better with my lungs, which works better with my nervous system. If I didn't have my heart, my whole system would be missing out. If I didn't have my lungs, my whole system would be missing out. If we didn't have your presence on this planet, the planet would be missing out. So it's not about releasing our individuality or our uniqueness. It's about becoming more fully into it. Who are we becoming? I believe that we are ever evolving. That we are ever evolving spiritual beings, that our planet is ever evolving. And so there's always the next becoming. Does it have to be a huge and different change? No. Does it mean there's anything wrong with who you are and where you are? No, not at all. It means that we're ever evolving. I had a conversation this week, or maybe last week, with one of my clients about the idea of more. Because there's kind of this thing about, well, is it selfish to want more? Or is it wrong to want more? You know, more. We're such a materialistic society. Isn't there something like kind of screwed up about that? And the conversation went to my truth, which is when we want more love, more connection, more purpose, more passion, more compassion, more kindness, there is no end to the brilliance of wanting more. Now, if we just want more cars and bigger houses and more money and more, then you could get lost in that. No, there's nothing wrong with that, but you could get lost in that. But what if there was more of your becomingness? What if there was more of your becomingness that you only find by knowing yourself, by knowing the self that is in you that is greater than your personality or your ego or your limited mind, that is knowing yourself as part of the oneness. And when we come into oneness, we come into a realization that together we can change the world. I came across this global oneness declaration. There's actually a global oneness day. It's in October. Can't wait till October because I already have my talk written for October. The oneness declaration is this. The simple oneness declaration is this. We, the people of the world, gather to announce the universal oneness of which we and everything are a part, from which we all arise and to which we all return. We are all one. We are all one. If we knew that, what would change? If we knew that, not with our knowing, because we're really good at our intellectual knowing, and we're really good about learning more and more, and taking in information, and that is all good and valuable, extremely valuable, but until we know it, together, until we know, I'm going to be a bass yet, until we know it, right? And that means you know it in your bones, you know it in the very cells of your being, and you cannot know that from your intellect. You only know it from experience, but until you know our oneness, we will continue to see what we're continuing to see. And all of the solutions to all of the world's challenges, every one of them, comes from the place of knowing. It's not going to come from the place of the level of the problem, right? We can't solve anything at the level of the problem that created it. But we can solve anything when we come into oneness, when we come into the knowing that we are all one and that we are co-creators and we are here for a mighty good. We're here to make manifest the glory of love on the planet. We are here to make manifest the glory of this big, beautiful movement, can I say movement, of oneness. And if we in this center came into oneness, it's like this. It's like an arrow that comes together, like all the many parts, right? We all have all the many parts of everybody who wants something and everybody who thinks something and everybody who knows what they know, right? And all the different, many moving parts of us. And we arrow in to a single purpose. And we arrow in with our singular why. And that why can be very umbrella based. There can be lots of pieces. But when we are clear about our interdependence with each other and our interdependence into the city of Hot Springs and beyond, when we come to know who we are and what we are about, then that arrow is like a catapult. That arrow moves us in ways that our brains could never think of. Now, our brains will think it up, but in that place of oneness, in that place of this is who we are, and this is who we be, and this is why we are and why we be. Part of that is going to come. We've been working on that for a few months. Part of that is that July 20th event, so come. Our mission, vision, value, why workshop. It's a facilitated process, but we'll be receiving together. Where two or more are gathered, greater is the awareness. Where two or more are gathered, greater is the possibility. And so we'll be discovering what that is for us. And as we together discover what that is for us, you also have the opportunity to discover what it is for you. I'm really clear about what my why is. I'm like 100% dedicated to the awakening of the planet. One soul awakening in a planet, one soul transforming in a planet. My work is divine awakening, touching hearts, freeing souls, and transforming lives. But what I realized is that I know exactly how that should be. Not always. But every time I know what that should be, I've got it wrong. Right? Because I can't know what it is. I can have an intention. I can have a big vision. I can have a direction. But when I step into thinking I know, I have limited myself. And so the call, one more challenge today, right, is to open yourselves. What would Spirit have you do? What would Spirit have you be? How can you surrender to a deeper good, to a broader good? How can you surrender your personal agenda for that which is greater, which is always going to be love-based? It's always going to be love-based. It's always going to be a greater good for the greater world. And when we begin to move out of our independence and into our interdependence, what we actually find there is freedom. Freedom to be all that we're here to be. Freedom to co-create together. Freedom to express. Freedom to choose the higher thought. You can choose what you say, but choose the higher thought. You can choose what to think, but choose the higher think. You can choose what to say, but choose the higher word. You can choose to wallow or settle in whatever life gives you, or you can choose to expand through it, to grow into it, to take these principles that we teach and embody them and integrate them in a way that changes everything. I have one reading I want to share. It's from Meister Eckhart. It's called When I Was the Forest. This is Love Poems from God. When I was the forest, when I was the stream, when I was the forest, when I was still the field, when I was every hoof, foot, fin, and wing, when I was the sky itself. No one ever asked me, did I have a purpose? No one ever wondered, was there anything I might need? For there was nothing I could not love. It was when I left all we once were that the agony began, the fear, and the questions came. And I wept. I wept. And tears I had never known before. So I returned to the river. I returned to the mountains. I asked for their hand in marriage again. I begged, and I begged to wed every object and creature. When I was one, I knew I was one. And when I forgot that I was one, I came to agony. Many of us here in this room have some level of agony in our lives, whether it's our finances or our relationships or our purpose or our money or our health or whatever it is. We live with this agony. But the way through the agony is not to deny it away, not to pretend it's not there, but actually the embracing of all of it, embracing of the fullness of our human experience, not alone. With we discover the brilliance of ourselves and others. In our oneness, we discover that we are not the same, but that in our oneness we create this beautiful kaleidoscope. Another slide I have. Beautiful kaleidoscope of all the moving parts, of all the brilliant colors. But you remove one color, one person, one idea out of that kaleidoscope, and it is missing. You are part of a greater whole. You are one with all that is. You matter. Your individuality matters. Your heart, mind, soul, spirit matter. Your desires matter. And when we align those into oneness, magic happens. Miracles happen. So will you join me in the challenge to seek and to become oneness this week? Like we can do it in a week. Let's do it in a week. Lucinda, you up for it? 1 week? We'll do it. Sure. She says sure. The rest of you, make the commitment to know your heart, to know your soul, to know you're part of that which is greater than you. And in that knowing that you are part of that which is greater than you, you know oneness, and you know interdependence, and you know